My name is Marley Bird, and in this video, I will teach you how to make the Crochet It shawl for you. This is a free pattern available at Yarnspirations.com. I will provide a link in the video description box right down there below. When you click that link, it will take you to the free pattern where you will find a full list of the materials you will need to follow along with this tutorial. Go ahead, grab that pattern and your materials, and we can jump in with the start of this beautiful shawl. I love when I get to do a video for a design that I simply love. This shawl looks very complex right here from the start, but really once we get past row 6, the rest of the shawl is just a repeat of rows 7 and 8 to get the size shawl you want. Then we get to do a really fun border or edging on the shawl that I will walk you through step by step in this video. I will be following along with the stitch diagram that you will find on page 3 of your pattern. This stitch diagram is very helpful to work up the start of the shawl. And then I've already highlighted a couple of stitches that I want to bring attention to when we get to those rows so that you can then continue on to make the shawl the size you want to. So let's go ahead, grab your yarn and your hook, and we will jump in with the start of the shawl. I am using a basic worsted weight yarn and a size 5mm crochet hook. I will place a slip knot on my hook and then chain 4. Do a slip stitch in the 4th chain from the hook to form a ring. Chain 3. We now will begin the first row, and note that this chain 3 counts as a double crochet. We want to do 5 double crochets into that ring. So I'm not going into any particular chain, I'm going right into that ring. I want to place 5 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We've just set up 1/2 of the shawl. Now I want to chain 2, and I will do 6 double crochets on this half of the ring. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, why would I do 5 double crochets on one half and 6 on the other? Well, that's a very good question, and I want to remind you that chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So really on one half of the shawl we have 6, and then we have the chain 2, and then we have 6 double crochets on the other half when you count that chain 3 as a double crochet. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need one more. Let me get some yarn here. And 6. Okay, so this is what I have so far. I have a chain 3, 5 doubles, chain 2, 6 doubles. Okay, now I will go ahead and chain 3. Again, that counts as a double crochet, and I will turn my work. You can chain 3 and turn, or turn and chain 3. It really doesn't matter. It's totally up to you. It's at this point that we will place 2 double crochets into that first double crochet right there. So I'm going into both loops, so I'm going to both loops, and I will work 2 double crochets. And this will give us our increase here at the edge, which is what we need to create a nice balanced triangle for our shawl. So we have 3 chains and then 2 doubles. Now I will go ahead and I'm going to place a double into each of these doubles all the way down to this chain 2 space. Once you've placed double crochets in each one, in the chain 2 space, we are going to do 2 double crochets into that space. So there's 1 and 2. Then we will chain 2 and do 2 double crochets again into that same space. And this is really the set that makes up the center of our shawl. So down the center of our shawl, all the time we'll do 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. This is the center of the shawl going that direction. Now working up along this side, we will put double crochets in each one of these double crochets. And when we get to this chain 3, we'll place 3 double crochets into the 3rd chain there. So I'm up here to where my chain 3 is. And I do not want to just go into that space right there because it gets a big gap right there at the edge of the piece. So I really do want to work into that 3rd chain. Now you might have to fight with it a little bit in order to get your hook into there to work into the actual chain, just like you would if you were working into a foundation chain. But I find it very important to put all 3 of those double crochets actually into the chain, not just into that space between that last actual double crochet and the chain 3s. Okay, so I have 3 double crochets there. So it's at this point I will chain 3 or turn and chain 3. It really doesn't matter. Once again, we're at the start of row 3 and we begin with 2 double crochets right here into the 1st stitch. And again, this is increasing our stitch count at the wingspan of our shawl. So we're always going to work increases there. Oops, I split my yarn. I don't want to do that. I'm going to make sure I get it all the way through. Perfect. Okay. Now that I have done those 2 double crochets, I will chain 2. And then I'm going to skip 2 double crochets and place a double crochet in each of the next 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, skip 2, and then place a double crochet in the next 2. So there's 1 and 2. This brings us to our center portion of the shawl. Remember, in the center portion I mentioned we always do 2 double crochets into that chain 2 space. So there's 1, here's 2, then we chain 2, and we do 2 more double crochets. It sort of takes us around the corner, so to speak. Okay. Now, everything we've done over here, we're going to do over here on this side. So I will go ahead, I double crochet in the first 2 double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next 3. So there's 1, 2, 3, chain 2, skip 2, which brings us to our 3 chains. And remember, I said you want to work into that 3rd chain, and we will place 3 double crochets. And this is our other increase on the wingspan. See how this works? Okay, so that's row 3. You finish off with your chain 3 and turn, or turn and chain 3, either way. And I turn my work. This is what we have so far right there. I'm ready to begin row 4. We are on our way. Hopefully you're starting to see some sort of action happening on your end and you're getting excited. It's pretty good stuff. So let's start row 4. Here we go. So row 4, we start off with our increase here at the wingspan. So we're going to do 2 double crochets into that first stitch. We want to do a single crochet in the next double crochet. So I'm going to do a single crochet right here into that double. Now, into this chain 2 space, I want to place 5 double crochets. So I'm skipping that double. I'm going straight to the chain 2 space, and I'm placing 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Now, in the center of these 3 double crochets, in the center one, I want to place a single crochet. Now I jump over here to this next chain 2 space, and I will do 5 double crochets. Once you complete those 5 double crochets, you will then skip 1 double crochet and single crochet in the next one. Then we will skip 1 double crochet, place a double crochet in the next one, and that brings us to our center here, our center chain 2, where we will place 2 double crochet into the chain 2 space. There's 1, and there's 2, chain 2, and then do 2 more. So there's 1 and 2, okay? So far, that's what we have. You see how we're starting to get sort of like our arches are kind of what I think of those as. So I'm kind of turning my work. I'm not really turning, I'm rotating it so I can work along this edge, okay? Because I'm still working along this row. And I continue on. So I will place a double crochet into this first double crochet. Then I want to skip 1 double, place a single crochet in the next double crochet. Now, working into these chain 2 spaces, I will place 5 double crochet. Whoops. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. I will skip 1 double, do a single into the next, or think of it as it's the single crochet in the center of those 3 doubles, okay? This is my next chain 2 space, so I'm going to place 5 double crochets into there. Okay, now you will skip 1 double, place a single crochet in the next double, and then working into the 3rd chain of your turning chain here, which it counts as a double, we want to place 3 double crochets. So work into that chain and place 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. See how that looks? See how it's starting to look real nice? So we do our chain 3 and turn, or turn and chain 3, either way. And we're ready to start row 5. Row 5 is very similar to row 3, but it's not identical. We do start off with the 2 double crochets here into the first double crochet to work our increase here at the start of the row, okay? But now, instead of a chain 2, we will work a chain 3. And for the rest of the shawl, we work chain 3s. This was the only row we worked a chain 2, was down here on row 3. For the rest of the shawl, we will work chain 3s when we're working those chains, okay? Once you do that chain 3, we're going to skip all of these stitches. And you know how we have 5 double crochets here? We want to put 3 double crochets in the center 3 of these 5. So we skip all of this, come all the way over here, and in the center of those 5 double crochets, we want to do 3. So there's 1, go to the next one over, and there's 2, next one over, and there's 3. Okay, so in the written instructions, it tells you, skip the 2 double crochets, skip a single, skip 2 doubles, and then you're right here to all of this. But really, if we think of it intuitively, we're putting the 3 double crochets in the center of what you could think of as this 5 double crochet shell we did right here, okay? Once we do that, we chain 3. We go to the next 5 double crochet shell and we do it again. So we will put a double crochet in those center 3. So there's 1 and there's 2. The next one over, here's 3. Not so bad, right? Okay, we carry on with the chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. We will skip the double right here, this single, and this double. We'll come to the second double and we place a double crochet. You skip 1 double and you're here at the center of your shawl again. And we know what to do in the center of our shawl. We do 2 doubles, chain 2, and then 2 doubles. All right, you see that? So it might look complicated if you're looking at the written instructions, but really we're just setting up to where we get these chain 3 spaces again. So that way, as we do those 5 double crochet shells, we'll have 1 more set of those 5 double crochet shells on this side and 1 more on this side. All right, so we have our center. See the center? It's going nice and strong right there. And we will rotate our work so we can work along this edge. And we continue on with row 5, okay? So we will skip 1 double crochet, go to the next one and work a double, chain 3, come all the way over here to where these 5 double crochets are and place a double crochet in each of the center ones, okay? So let's see here, my center ones. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 3. Go to the next 5. Do a double crochet in the center 3. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 3. We skip all of this, come all the way over here to the chain 3 turn that we did, and working into the 3rd chain, we will work 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 3, and turn. So that is the end of row 5. So at the end of row 5, this is what your work looks like. And we're really just building up our shawl. You can see we've already started to get these arches that are the body of the shawl. And every time we create a row with these chain spaces, okay, the following row will be worked with those 5 double crochet shells worked into those chain spaces, and we'll work single crochets in the center of those 3 doubles. So it'll be a single there, it'll be a single there, single there, single there. You see how that'll start to work up, okay? So as we finish row 5 and move on to row 6, this will be the end of what I consider the start of the shawl, because rows 7 and 8 will be repeated over and over and over until you get the shawl to the size you want it to be, okay, or the size written in the pattern. So let's go ahead and get started on row 6. Row 6 begins with the increase here at the start, just like before. So we place 2 double crochets into that first stitch there. We want to place a single crochet into the next double crochet. We work our single. Now we're going to skip this double and come right here to this chain 3 space and work 5 double crochets all into that space. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now remember what I said, we want to put a single crochet right here into the center of those 3 doubles. Pretty easy. Got other yarn trying to sneak up on me. And now we go to the next chain 3 space and we will do 5 doubles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Place a single into the center of those 3 doubles. Do 5 double crochets into this chain 3 space. Okay. Once you get those 5, we're coming up to our corner. So this is my center of my shawl. On row 6, we will skip 1 double crochet, place a single crochet into the next double crochet, okay? And then we will skip the next double crochet, which brings us to this chain 2, which is our center. And in the center, we always do our 2 doubles, our chain 2, and our 2 doubles. Now, if you find that you are getting a little bit distracted and you always will start to accidentally do these chain or these 5 doubles in the center here, you could always grab a marker and just keep a marker into the center, those chain 2 center, and then you'll know that every time you get to that marker, you're at the center point of your shawl, okay? There's no shame in adding markers to help you know where you are in the shawl, because we can get in a rhythm and we can get distracted, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you're at the wrong spot and you might have to rip out. So use a marker to help you keep track. Once you get done with the center portion, that's where you will kind of shift it and work along the other edge of the shawl here. So let's continue on with row 6, which has us skip 1 double and place a single crochet in the next double. And now we continue on with our 5 doubles into the chain 3 space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 5 doubles. Put our single into the center of these 3 double crochets. Let's do 5 doubles again. Single in the center of those 3 double crochets, and I have another chain 3, so I know I have 5 more doubles. Whoops. Oh goodness. All right, and remember what I said, whenever we get either to this bottom edge, or not bottom edge, but the center spine or the edges up here, we have to pay attention to what's happening with our work. And so we're right here, we just completed these 5 doubles. We skip 1 double crochet, do a single crochet in the next, and then we will do 3 double crochets into that chain 3. All right. I always forget to leave that chain 3 just a little bit loose, so it's easier to work into, but with a little bit of elbow grease, you can get your hook into that stitch, no problem. All right, so it's the end of row 6. I have to chain 3 and turn, but I'm going to pause here so you can see what's happening. At the end of row 6, we have started off with the center of our shawl, right? This is the center top of the wingspan. We're increasing out at the wingspan every time we do those 3 double crochets to start and to finish. And now we're building up what would be like our arches as we're going through the body. And as you complete row 6, from now on, we will repeat rows 7 and 8 for the body of the shawl. I know I've repeated that like 3 or 4 times so far in the video, but it's really important to know that now that you've done this part, this is the hardest part because there's not a whole lot of consistency going. But from here on out, from 7 and 8, it's a lot of consistency. So as long as you are keeping up with that, you can make this shawl shawl literally as big as you want it to be. So let's go ahead and work rows 7 and 8 together. Before I jump in with row 7, I want to point out these highlighted stitches that I have on the chart. What I've done here is we have our increase right here where we do our chain 3 and we have our 2 doubles in our first stitch. We've been doing that all along. But this is going to be different. We have a double crochet we will be working into the stitch after our increase. And then when we get to the end of row 7, when we do our chain 3, we'll have a double crochet after that chain 3 into that stitch right there. And then the same thing over here on this side and come down, and then we have that double crochet. You'll notice all the other times we did our chain 3 and then 2 doubles into the stitch, chain 3, 2 doubles in the stitch, and there wasn't really something going on afterwards with the exception of this single crochet right there on rows 4 and 6. So this is the first time on one of our odd rows that we have a stitch happening after we work our increase on our wingspan. And we want to make sure we have that stitch down here as well. Okay, so that's something that I made note of on my own, so that way as I was repeating rows 7 and 8, I made a mental note of, oh, remember you have that double crochet you need to complete. Otherwise I would forget it and then my stitch count gets off and I have to rip out. So I wanted to point that out to you. It's a really good opportunity for you just to highlight that one stitch. That was enough for me to remember it, so hopefully that will help you as well. Okay, all right, so here we go. I'm going to turn my work and we're going to work row 7. So to begin here, as I mentioned, we continue on with our increase here at the beginning by placing 2 double crochets into this first stitch. So we're increasing at our wingspan. Now we want to do that double crochet that I highlighted, and it's in the next double crochet over. So I just work that double. And now I continue. I will chain 3. And just like before, I'm going to put 3 double crochets in the center of this shell essentially that I've created, okay? So I just want to put my 3 double crochets. And this is your repeat. This is as your shawl gets bigger and bigger. This is what continues to increase, is that you get more and more of these chain 3 spaces and these doubles and such. Okay, so I chain 3, skip all of this, come over here to this next shell of 5 double crochets, and I will put a double crochet in each of the center 3. I can see I have another shell here, so I know I need to chain 3. Come over here, work my 3 doubles. And this is where we have to pay attention. So I will chain 3. And then this is the stitch I wanted to mention that I did highlight. So rather than counting this way going that way, for me, I think of it as I don't want to work into this stitch here before my chain 2. There's my chain 2. Here's a double. I want to place my double crochet in the stitch right before it. Okay? That's how I like to think of it, because when I'm looking at my work, it's easier for me to find that one stitch and then work into the stitch right before it than to sit here and count all of these stitches over to that one. It's just a personal preference. You do what works best for you. Once you do that, I can see I'm at my center of the shawl here, so I know I need to do my 2 double crochets. So there's 1, and there's 2, and then I chain 2, and I'll do 2 more double crochet. And then I can take my marker and move it into that chain 2 space so that I can maintain that point in my shawl and know where it is. So I'll undo that. You can see here. So I have 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. Grab my marker, just put it in the center, and it just helps me out. Okay, so working along this edge, just like before, when I find that one double and I know I have a double right before it, I can think of it on this edge. I find that last double and the double right after it. I'll put my double, chain 3, work my double crochets in the center of that shell. So there's 3 doubles. There's 1, 2, and 3, chain 3, come over here to the center of this one. Hopefully this helps you, especially those of you who are very visual learners, to kind of be like, oh, all right, there's a lot of words to these instructions, but really this is what I'm doing. I'm just centering my 3 doubles into the center of this shell, and it makes everything line up because that's all we're doing here. Chain 3, come over here, do the same thing, which brings us close to the edge of the shawl, which is where we have to pay attention to where things get changed up ever so slightly. And so right here we will chain 3, and then like before, just like down here where I find that 1 stitch and then I go 1 over here I find my chain 3, and I know I need to put my double into the one right before the chain 3, so I'll put my double there, and then I know I have to put 3 double crochets into that chain 3. Does that make sense? There's 1, and there's 2, and there's 3. See that? So that's row 7. See how similar it looks to row 5 and row 3? Okay, but the difference here is that row 7 has that double crochet right after our increases here. It has our double crochet down here. But as you create every 2 rows, every time you have to repeat row 7, you'll have 1 more set of chain 3 double crochets along that edge, and then the same thing on the other side. It just continually increases. Okay, so that's row 7. That you need to know that row. Let's go ahead and learn row 8. In row 8, let's see here, we have our chain 3, just like always. We have to work our increase here. So we put our 2 double crochets there. Now here's where row 8 is different than the previous rows. In the previous rows, we put our single crochet into that stitch right after our 3 double crochets there. This time we want to put it in the next one over. So you'll skip 1 double and place your single into the next one over. So that is a difference there. From here on out, every time you get to these chain 3s, just like before, you'll do 5 double crochets. I'm looking at my 3 double crochets here, so I put a single into the center of them. Go to these chain 3 space, do my 5 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do a single into the center of those 3 doubles. Go to the next chain 3 space, do 5. You see how you just keep repeating this? I mean, there's nothing new here. You don't really have to learn a whole bunch. You just keep repeating this until we get down to where our center of the shawl is. Remember, that's where things change up a bit, so we always need to pay attention when we get down there. But for this part, like really the body of the shawl, you can just kind of go on autopilot, which is lovely when you're working on shawls. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now here we go. We have those 5. We have a double crochet right here. We have a double crochet right here and a double crochet right here. We want to put a single into the center of those. So there's 3 doubles. You want to put a single into the center one. We're to our center spine. It's lovely. We know because we have that marker there. It makes it very convenient. So it's almost like a relief of, oh, I made it to the center. I know what I'm doing here. I don't have to think too much. I do 2 doubles, chain 2, and then do 2 doubles. Okay, I'm going to move that marker. Put it there. We rotate. We skip 1 double, put a single into that next double. And then again, we're going to go on autopilot until we get down here to this edge. So we have our chain 3 space. We know what to do. We will put 5 double crochets there. a single into that double, 5 double crochets in the next, a single in the center of all those doubles, 5 double crochet in the next. When I say in the next, I mean in the next chain 3 space. Okay, single crochet in the next center of those doubles. I have another set of 5 double crochets into that next chain 3 space. And here we are, we're coming up to the end. And remember, we have to pay attention when we get to the end here. It's really not super difficult. You skip 1 double, do a single crochet in the next one. So it's really in the center of those 3 doubles, we have a single in the center. And then you will finish with 3 double crochets into that chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Now, I know the written instructions carry on and they tell you what to do for following rows, but really you're just going to repeat rows 7 and 8, 7 and 8, 7 and 8, and you carry on and it increases out. And it looks really nice. Hopefully you can see this and you can see how it's starting to increase out really nicely. Here's our center bit, and then here's how this looks. So this here is a direct representation of what is in this chart right here, okay? So this is exactly what you're looking at right there. And then as you repeat 7 and 8, I want you to see this. I'm going to pull back in the one I started off with at the beginning. Let's make it upside down here. So I have put a marker where I finished my row 8. So that was row 8 right there on that marker. And you can see what I've done past the marker, and it's really just the repeat of 7 and 8. So I have row 7, row 8, row 7, row 8, row 7, row 8, row 7, row 8. And you can see the number of arches, so to speak, have increased as we've gone along as well. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4 arches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You see what I mean? So it increases out. So every time you repeat rows 7 and 8, you get 1 extra arch on that side of the shawl, and you'll get 1 extra arch on this side of the shawl. And if you've done everything correctly, it'll look just like this. So this was our starting point. And as you go down the spine, you have this really nice set of 2 doubles and chain 2s, and it goes all the way down here to this edge, okay? Now here's the cool thing. The pattern tells you, how many rows and how often to work all of these. And as you get back to this chart, you'll see you have an example here of the edging. And the edging in this sample here, it's worked on top of what would be a row 8. Okay, so this blue row here, that is a row 8 row. And then you have row 1, which would technically be a row 7 row. And then you have row 2, which would be another row 8 row. And then row 3 would be a row 7 row. But we're not doing the instructions from row 7 and 8. We're following the instructions for the edging. But what I want you to notice here is this. Notice that the edging is just repeated on top of those shells. So no matter how many shells you have on either side of your shawl, as long as you just maintain whatever is going on these shells in the chart, you'll be just fine. So we have our increase still here going on along the edge or the wingspan of the shawl. It's just the things that change up are inside here, okay? And it's really not super difficult. So let's walk through rows 1, 2, and 3 of the edging so that way you can complete it. It does really add just a little something extra to the shawl itself. Now, having said that, if you do want to stop your shawl after you complete the body, you totally could do that. You don't have to do the edging at all. But if you want to just make your shawl a little bit something extra, a little bit more than just a basic shawl, this is a great little extra piece to add to it. And it's awesome because you get to change to a new color yarn. let's go ahead and jump in and learn this edging. First things first, after you have finished a row 8, you will go ahead and cut your yarn and leave yourself a nice long tail so you can weave that in. And we're going to change colors here. So I'm just going to grab another color of worsted weight yarn I have right here. All right, what I want to do, because I like to change colors on the last stitch, I'm actually going to undo the last double crochet I did. And I'm going to recreate it. So I'm going to start it, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, draw through 2, and then I'm going to drop the color I was using and grab the new color and yarn over with the new color and pull up. Okay, so that allows me to change colors pretty seamlessly. And it's at this point that I will begin with my instructions. Okay, so I will chain 3, turn, and this will be row 1 of the edging. And you can see here, so I'm working on the sample we've worked on, right? And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 shells. And if you remember, in the chart, it shows it on just 1, 2, 3 shells. So I'm going to show you on 4, so that way you can see how it doesn't matter that it's shown here on 3, whether you have 4 or 14, you can still complete this edging, okay? So we're still going to follow along with these instructions. We're just going to create everything that's done in that shell in each one of the shells. And when I say shell, I mean the 5 double crochets as we go along. So I'm starting right here with row 1, and I'm working along, okay? So let's do this together. If you're following along with the written instructions, you can do that as well. I might use different words, but it's the same thing as far as where you're placing the stitches. So I start off with 2 double crochets into this first double crochet here, just like we've been doing all along. So I'll do 2 double crochets, chain 1. Now I'm going to come over here to the single crochet, and I'm going to place a single crochet. Now, I have these 5 double crochets here, and what I want to do is in the center of those 5, so I'm going to skip 2 doubles, in the center of those 5, I'm going to work this sequence. We will chain 1, we will do a double crochet, chain 1, so that's 1, we'll do another double crochet, chain 1, that's 2. We do another double crochet, chain 1, that's 3. Another double crochet, chain 1, that's 4. So what I did there, I have 4 double crochets, and I have 5 chains because I have 1 directly after that single, then I have a chain 1 in between each one of those doubles, and then I ended with the chain. Okay, you see how that works up? Now I'm going to come over here to where this single crochet is, and I work a single. And that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to continue doing that all the way until we get to the single we place right there in that single before our center point. So here we go. Even without looking at anything else and not getting lost on any of the words that are written in the instructions, this is what we want to do. In the center of these 5 double crochets, in the center one, we want to do all of this. We start off with our chain 1. We do a double into that center, and we chain 1. That was 1. We want to do this 4 times, right? Hold on, I made a knot in my yarn here by twisting it all up. Don't you hate when that happens? Hopefully that solves it. Okay, here we go. We're going to continue. So that was 1. We have a double crochet and a chain 1. There's 2. A double crochet, chain 1. There's 3. A double crochet, chain 1. There's 4. You see that? So I have 4 doubles, 4 chain 1s, plus the one I did right after my single. And then just looking at my work here, I can see there's a single crochet there, and I'll do a single there. And I have another shell here. So I do this all again. I start with my chain 1, and in the center, what do? Double, chain 1, there's 1. Double, chain 1, there's 2. Double, chain 1, there's 3. double, chain one, there's 4. There's a single. Now, if you were following along with the chart, this would be where it would end, right? But we have another shell. And as you make your shawl bigger, you're going to have more shells. So you just continue on. We have our chain one, so we know what to do. In the center, we'll do our double, chain one, there's 1, double, chain one, there's 2, double, chain one, there's 3, oop, there's the chain one, and double, chain one, there's 4. Now I come over here to this single crochet and I single crochet. Not so hard, right? Now we're to the center of the shawl and it's time that we work our center stitches. The center stitches are no longer the double crochets, chain 2, double crochets. We have something a little bit different here. We will chain 2, single crochet in this chain 2 space, and then chain 2. So what I would do here, if you still have your marker in place, is I would place my marker into that single crochet. All right, so I'm just going to put it into that top of the single crochet there, okay, right there. So we did our chain 2. Now what we need to do is we're going to do a single crochet all the way over here into this single. Okay, so we're going to skip those doubles, come over here to this single, and place a single. So that's our new corner edge, is right just like that. Now, working up along this edge, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do our new shell, our single, our new shell, our single, our new shell, and then we have something different down here at this edge. So let's do the first one together, and then we'll jump ahead. So we chain 1, go to the center of these 5, work our double, chain 1, our double, chain 1, our double, chain 1, our double, chain 1, single crochet in that single crochet. All right, let's go ahead and continue doing that all the way up until we get down here to this last single crochet right before the edge. There's my last single crochet. Now I want to chain 1, and I will place 3 double crochets into that third chain of my turning chain, just like before. All right, we want to maintain those increases on our wingspan so that way our shawl lays correctly. Then I will chain 3 and turn, or turn and chain 3. Doesn't really matter, but you can see here what we've essentially done is we've created a larger shell with chains in between our doubles on top of each one of the arches or the shells that we've created as we were making the body of our piece. All right, so can you see how it doesn't matter how many shells or arches you have, you just repeat this process till you get to the center, which we know how to do that. We have our single, chain 2, single, chain 2, then single, and we're back to our repeat, okay? All right, so this would be row 2 of our edging. We have our chain 3 to begin with. We will place 2 double crochets into the first stitch. We place a double crochet into the next stitch. The next stitch, we place a double. We chain 2. We'll place a double crochet into that single. So we're going to go into the single, we're going to place a double crochet, chain 2. Now, looking at this shell, we have 5 chains, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the center of those 5 chains, we want to do all of this. We're going to put a double crochet into that center chain 1 space, and then we will chain 1. We'll put another double crochet. We'll chain 1, and we'll put another double crochet. Then we chain 2. Brings us over here to this next single, and we will do a double. All right, so this is what we want to do now as we're going across. We're putting a double into the single and then working into the center of this shell. Just like we worked into the center of those 5, we're working into the center of these, I'm going to call them 5 chains separated by doubles. We're working into the center chain and we're doing a double, chain 1, double, chain 1, double. And then there's 2 chains on either side of that. Can you see that? All right, so we're going to do that. Here we go. We're in the next shell, so we automatically know we're going to start with chain 2. We go to the center of these chains, the center of this shell, right there. We'll place a double, chain 1, a double, chain 1, and a double. Chain 2, and then work a double into that single crochet. You see that? I know that the instructions are written out to be super long, but when you break it down, it's really this easy. So we're in the center again. We did a double, chain 1, a double, chain 1, a double, chain 2, and then a double into that single crochet. See that? It's not super hard, right? It looks more complicated than it is, but when you break it down into little tiny steps like this, it's completely manageable. All right, so I chain 2, I'm going to do a double crochet in the center, chain 1, another double in the center, chain 1, and one more double in the center, chain 2, and then a double into the single crochet. Now, this is where I'm always really happy I've marked my center here because I know I'm at the end of my repeats, right? Those are all my repeats. So now I'm at the center where I have to work the center of my shawl. So I will chain 2, chain 1, chain 2, and then into this single crochet that I have marked, I will place a double crochet, chain 3, and another double crochet. So all of that goes into that marked stitch. I'll move my marker up. I'm going to place it into that chain 3 space just so that I can recognize it again, just like I've been doing all along. And now I will work down along this edge, working the same sort of action here, okay? So I will chain 2. Into this single crochet, I start off with a double, and we're back to our repeat. So I will chain 2. Into the center of this shell, I'm going to do a double, a chain 1, a double, a chain 1, and a double, and chain 2, and then a double into that single crochet. I'm going to repeat that all the way until I get to the end here. So let me go ahead and get there. You do the same on your end. All right, so this is my last double crochet I have right here. I will chain 2. I will place a double crochet into the last actual double crochet here at the edge. And then I will place 3 double crochets into the chain 3 of my turning chain. So there's 1, 2, and 3. All right, so this is row 2 of the edging. You can see, I mean, not a whole lot, but it looks really ornate. It looks like it's a lot more complicated than it really is. And row 3 will make it look even more complicated, but it's even easier. So let's go ahead and jump into row 3, and that will bring together your entire shawl. For row 3, let's start off with our chain 3 and turn. Okay. We will have our 2 double crochets here to begin with. So there's 1 and 2 all done into that first stitch there. We're going to do a double crochet in the next 3 double crochets. So in each of the next 3, we're going to do a double. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And here we go. We chain 2, coming all the way over here to where this double is that we stacked on top of our single. We're going to do a single crochet. Now, we chain 2. We will skip this chain 2 space right here, and into the next chain 1 space, we're going to do a single, chain 3, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and another single. Okay, kind of gives you this sort of picot looking stitch there. In the next chain over, we're going to first off do chain 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in the next chain over, you will single crochet, chain 3, single crochet. So that gives you another picot. So in this instance, we have a single, chain 3, single, chain 5, go to the next chain 1 space, single, chain 3, single. So we kind of get like this sort of flowery picot looking thing, okay? Now we skip these chain 2s. You will chain 2 stitches, come here to the double, and work a single. And that's your repeat. All right, so we're going to do that again. We're going to do that again together. You ready? Okay. All right, we have just completed our single right here into that double crochet. We start off with chain 2. We skip this chain 2. We come over here to this chain 1 space. We'll do a single. Then we chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Into that same space, we do another single. Now we chain 5. 1, 2, 3, whoops, 4, 5. Into the next chain 1 space, we'll do a single, chain 3, and then a single into that same chain 1 space, chain 2, and then working into the top of that double crochet, you will single crochet. Can you see that? Okay. You're going to repeat this all the way down until you get down here to your edge, and this last single crochet we did right here into this double, the last one you will do when you get down here to the edge will actually be right here, and then you'll have all of your finishing here for the center of the shawl, the center spine of the shawl. Okay, so let's continue on. And again, I mean, no matter how many of these shells you have, you're just building on each one. It makes it's very convenient and very nice that it lines up like this. Okay, let's work this together again. Chain 2, go to the next chain 1 space, work a single, chain 3, do a single in that space again, chain 5, go to the next chain 1 space, do a single, chain 3, into that same chain 1 space, do a single, chain 2, and then do a single crochet into that double crochet. See how pretty that is? That's such a pretty edging. I'm going to have to add that to future designs of mine because it's very beautiful. I'm going to keep doing this until I get down to the center stitches, so that way I can essentially turn the corner to get to the other side of my shawl. And as you keep going with this, you'll start to see that you can go a little bit faster because it becomes very rhythmic, especially as you have more and more of those shells to work this stitch pattern into. All right, so here I am. I've worked all of those 4 right there. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've done the last single crochet into that double, and I'm ready to work my center of my shawl here. So this is where my stitch marker is. I will work a chain 2, come over here to this next double crochet, and I will work a single crochet into the double. I will chain 3, work a single crochet into the chain 3 space, chain 5, work a single crochet into the chain 3 space, chain 3, and then I will place a single crochet into this double crochet. Now, I'm placing it into the double. Technically, you could put it into, I'm going to remove this marker. You could put it into that chain space still. Let me see here. You could put all of that into this chain space, but I feel like putting it into those doubles there, it really makes this all kind of pop. And it makes the center spine here, see how it looks like these ones? So it really looks like this just continues on all the way around, and it looks very seamless. It looks very pretty. All right, so now, I mean, there's nothing new here. We're still gonna continue on doing the same thing all the way down here. And when we get to this edge, when we do our final single crochet here, we'll chain 2 and then do doubles into each one of these and then 3 in here at the end. So let me go ahead and get down here to this edge. You really should know how to carry on from this point forward. I'm assuming you do because it's really not that difficult. We start off here with our chain 2. We'll do a single right here into this double, and then we continue on with our repeat. Chain 2. Into this chain 1 space, we'll do our single, chain 3, single, chain 5. Into the next chain 1 space, do a single, chain 3, single into that same space, chain 2, and then single into that double crochet. See how it just goes from this edge all the way around, and it just looks really pretty. I gotta say, I love these two colors together. They're very vibrant. Look sort of like watermelon. Okay, let me get to the edge here. Okay, this is my last single crochet. I will chain 2. And then going to this double crochet, I'll work a double into each one of these doubles. So there's my 3 doubles. And then into my chain 3 turning chain, I'll do my 3 doubles, do the 3rd chain there, just like I've been doing all along. Then I can finish off, so you essentially do a chain 1, cut your yarn, and then you just pull that chain and it gives it a good knot. And you have a shawl. Looks a little something like this with this beautiful picot-esque edging going on that you can wear anywhere you want. And all you need to do is just weave in your ends. Pretty simple to do. And it's just very easy. Just maintain your stitch pattern as you're going along. Just showed you how easy this edging can be, and you'll have this shawl ready to wear in no time. I hope you found this video helpful and you will attempt to make this crochet shawl just for you. If you do, be sure to share with us on social media. Use hashtag MarleyBird or hashtag Yarnspirations so that way we can see your beautiful work and smash your like button. I'm Marley Bird for Yarnspirations.com. I'll talk to you again real soon. Bye.